Want to hear a more diverse perspective on art? Tune in to Speaking of Art, the official podcast of Sharjah Art Foundation, featuring conversations with some of the most prominent artists and curators from Asia, Africa, and around the world. Listen to Speaking of Art wherever you get your podcasts.
Channel, this is The Pulse with me, Blessed Suga. This afternoon, 3 top officers of the Ghana Police Service are on interdiction as investigations get underway into allegations of a plot to remove the Inspector General of Police. The issue has already led to sharp divisions and animosity within the police service.
Chair, I will not deny that fact today, tomorrow, or the next day. I will make that statement again. That the current Inspector General of Police is not managing the police service well.
A lot more unfolding on that story, plus the interdiction of COP Alex Mensah this afternoon. We are also rewinding the conversation on the pothole exhibition and bringing you an update on what government is doing so far to fix roads left in a very deplorable state. We'll get to hear from you as well here on the show, and later we take a look at the man of the moment, Alan Kojo Kyerematen, who is allegedly lacing his boots to run as an independent candidate. But is the prospect bright or brighter for Alan Kojo Kyerematen? As we delve into that conversation later on the show, we'll hear from experts who believe that he would have to tread a bit more cautiously. These are more coming your way here on The Pulse, and Blessed Suga. The Pulse, as always, is brought to you by Global Communities Digni Lu, affordable, safe sanitation for all. We're on Facebook and YouTube as well. We're on DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 125, and we are streaming also online at myjoyonline.com. Be my guest. Joy News is independent, fearless, and credible. We get details for you right after this break. And this afternoon, the police administration announcing the interdiction of 3 senior officers who have all made appearances before Parliament's committee probing an allegation and a plot, as we understand, to oust the Inspector General of Police, Dr. George Akuffo-Dampare. We get to details of what we know so far about this incident, where the police is announcing that the service has interdicted Commissioner of Police, Mr. George Alex Mensah, Superintendent Emmanuel Eric JB, and also Superintendent George Lindsay Asare are all part of this in connection with the audio tape, which has become a subject matter of investigation by the Parliament of Ghana. The statement continues to indicate that the interdiction is to make way for disciplinary proceedings into their conduct in line with the police service regulations. And we understand that this is forming part of the reasons for which the police service has dispatched a mail to all these individuals at the center of the controversy. But there's a need for us to refresh your minds on the background to the story. July 2023, an audio tape in which we had some voices sounding, supposedly as that of the former NPP Northern Regional Chairman, Bugri Nabu. We also had some voices sounding as that of the other police officers, allegedly, who have been caught on tape. So that's the reason for which the police service has taken this decision. Beyond that as well, it later emerged that the officer concerned with the alleged plot included these very individuals that we are talking about, especially COP Alex Mensah, who's being deemed supposedly to be that star witness, providing details to the parliamentary ad hoc committee probing this matter. And that tape, of course, has been making rounds and is ever unfolding. COP Alex Mensah is the most senior officer to be cited for this disciplinary breach in recent history, as we know it, at the parliamentary probe. When he appeared, COP George Alex Mensah minced no words about his view on the leadership of his boss, the IGP, indicating that his style is, something which is not desirable. So So these are the individuals you see, but here's what COP Alex Mensah had to say when he appeared before the ad hoc committee.
Because the audio which I've just listened is unedited. Why? There's a likelihood that somebody can fake my voice. But I can't confirm because I don't have that technical to confirm it.
Is there any flow of conversation on this tape that you, in true humility, will say that nobody is faking my voice? Or it is the entire tape that you want to say that somebody is trying to, fake your voice?
Mr. Chairman, not the entire. Honorable Chair, I will not deny that fact today, tomorrow, or the next day. I will make that statement again. That the current Inspector General of Police is not managing the police service well. It's something I will not run away from. I will say it everywhere, anywhere that I go. And you can do your own investigations, call police officers underground and find out from them. As we speak, majority of police officers are not happy. And if these same people are those who are going to police the elections, and remember, police officers, they vote. Their wives vote. Their children vote. Their mothers and fathers vote. That is my concern.
And that's part of the reason for which COP Alex Mensah believes that the IGP is not managing the affairs of the police service well. But COP George Alex Mensah rose to fame in October 2017 when he was appointed the Accra Regional Commander for the police service and made a famous inaugural statement when he visited Joy News to acquaint himself with, the staff here at Multimedia.
I'm too hot to be in anybody's pocket. If you put me in your breast pocket, you might have breast cancer. You put me in your back pocket, you might not be able to sit down. G.A. Mensah is not bribable.
Well, that's the nature of the individual we're dealing with here, but his interdiction comes at a time when Parliament is already probing this alleged plot to oust the IGP. Does that amount to intimidation or perhaps duplication of Parliament processes or perhaps intimidation of Parliament's witnesses who are appearing before the ad hoc committee? Let's seek to get some answers on that. First, though, let's go through the disciplinary procedure as set out in CI 176, the law governing the conduct of the police service. And just before we get to that, let me tell you about my guest helping us to do the discussion this afternoon, Professor Kwesi Aning, Director of Faculty Academic Affairs and Research with Fiannan International Peacekeeping Center and Training Center, and Deep Sun is a security analyst joining this conversation. Thank you, gentlemen, for spending some time with us. So let's get to it. Professor Aning, first of all, your reaction to this announcement. The police service says it's strictly in line with disciplinary procedures. Do you see any other reason for this? Prof, we're having difficulties hearing you. If you could just unmute for us.
No, I actually think the problem is that it's taking too long for these people to be disciplined. When you work in a statutory security agency in which there are rules and procedures and established procedures for grievances, where this institution is a frontline national security institution, the primary role of the Ghana Police Service is to protect lives and property. And after 35 years or so, you turn around and you seek to undermine the sanctity of that institution. I think that person should be punished. The kinds of statements that have come out are not statements that sought to inure to the benefit of the Ghana Police Service as a whole. It is a personal targeted attack against an IGP, and they haven't provided any solid evidence. Look, when you live in a dangerous, geographical area as we do, and a senior officer, albeit one who is on the verge of going on pension, but is still a serving officer, misconducts himself to such an extent, then the most stringent disciplinary rules within that institution must be applied. But Mr. Mensah behaves as if somebody owes him something, that he ought to have been given a job, that he thinks he had an almost sacrilegious right to the position. Nobody has that. The state doesn't owe him the IGP position. And I think I support Dr. Bona about the need for some mental evaluation. Because you see, when a senior officer of that stature makes such baseless allegations, it threatens national security, it undermines the esprit de corps of the Ghana Police Service, and it threatens the authority and the audacity of the IGP to run his institution.
Yeah, many say this
the
is the point.
of the Ghanaian public are very satisfied with what Dr. Dampare is doing. And please give me just 20 seconds. This talk about Dr. Dampare being autocratic and therefore, it creates the impression in my mind that there are a group of people desperate who are united and are seeking to throw as much debt into the public space around this debate. Okay, the accusation that Dr. Dampare organized the recording and the leakage. Look, these are very serious allegations, and I'm hoping that the disciplinary processes within the service will even unearth first the accusations that have been thrown into the public space, but more so those that I have always perceived to be part of a network that deliberately seeks to undermine the authority and sanctity of the Ghana Police Service, and by extension, the IGP and those of the people that he seeks to work with.
The IGP is a public officer. He's a leader as well. It's fair to scrutinize his leadership, isn't it?
Why not? Even I, as a little school teacher, my students assess me. How much more the IGP? No one is saying the IGP must not be assessed. But there are procedures and mechanisms for assessment. You cannot, as a senior officer who has worked with and probably at a point in time was much more senior to this IGP, come into the public space and deliberately place into the public space innuendos and statements that seek to sow disaffection and discord. He's a public officer. He's subjected or must be subjected to scrutiny, and the procedures for scrutiny are through the police council, who should be sending an annual report, to the Defense and Interior Committee that provides the money for the Ghana Police Service, but also the Public Accounts Committee and the Finance Committees. So there are procedures for checking his performance. We all cannot get up, and I, as a school teacher, be accused left, right, and center without people using the laid down procedures for complaint. A public officer does not mean that anyone at all can get up and insult him.
And now the fear, and now that fear is growing worse by the day, simply because of this latest decision by the police service to interdict COPL Mensah together with the other inspectors or officers accused of being caught on tape. Don't you feel the IGP had any role, at least to avert this? Because the belief is it will further break down and cause more divisions within the police service.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. The IGP, following the rule of law and the procedures established in which Parliament then says, look, this is something that is quite serious, so we need to do something about it, could not have averted nor stepped in the earlier stages. But he's given them time. They've listened. People have said what they have to say. And I think it's reached the point. And don't forget that Mensah is just on the verge of leaving the service. Okay, so he needs to step in and say, look, whatever evidence you've got, whatever you've said, let's use the procedures that you yourself have been part of in developing it to see the extent to which you can justify your statements and to put some proof on the table. There's nothing contradictory in that at all.
Conflict of interest. And I'll come to you, Adib Sani, shortly. But, Prof, one more issue, the conflict of interest accusations. The fact that this is the same IGP who has been accused of being a party to all of these happenings. In fact, some claim, and we've heard that from COP Alex Mensah, that the tape was allegedly doctored by the IGP himself. And yet the IGP...
Well, he should provide proof.
Yeah, but yet you have the IGP sitting on a police council or a police board that is taking the same decision to interdict an officer, accusing him. Conflict of interest?
Look, no. I am the director of my academic program at the KIPTC. If a student that I catch for plagiarism then says, oh, Kweseni doesn't like me, that is why he has caught me for plagiarism, I will institute a board that will try to prove that the student has either plagiarized or not. It is not a contradiction in terms at all, because I have a business and an institution to run. It has credibility that must be protected. So let Mensah and his cohorts appear before the disciplinary board. If they think the actions by the IGP are contradictory, let them prove it. This is a country in which we have some semblance of rule of law, and we need to respect Mr. Mensah's human rights. So let's get the things done properly, but we shouldn't conflict things. People are saying he gave somebody a contract of 40,000 boots. If those contracts were given under the applicable procurement rules, then there's nothing wrong. Okay, the IGP is human. He can make mistakes. But let's at least, in seeking to critique him, provide the necessary evidence to back our criticism.
Prof, just hold on for us. Adib Sani is also with us in this whole conversation. Adib, your take on the latest that we're hearing about the interdiction.
Thank you. A very good afternoon to you and your viewers, and of course, Professor Enin. Indeed, I was not surprised about the interdiction. However, I would agree to a very large extent with Professor Enin. It has come, a bit too late. I think this is something that should have been done immediately the recordings were leaked. Because at this point in time, it looks more like it's ill-timed, owing to what the parliamentary committee is also doing right now. Within the police structure, okay, there are 3 entities who can initiate disciplinary actions against officers. First is the president, then we have the IGP, then we have the police disciplinary board. And things are clearly spelled out, like you said at the beginning of the show, in CI 76, to be specific, section 105(1). That says the Inspector General of Police may direct an officer who is the subject of investigations or disciplinary proceedings to immediately cease to perform the functions of his office where investigations or proceedings are likely to lead to the imposition of a major penalty, and accordingly, the IGP or the Inspector General may interdict the officer from performing those functions. And 2, an officer shall not be interdicted unless the nature of the offense renders it desirable that the officer should not remain on duty while the case is pending, and the officer cannot be assigned other duties without endangering the interest of the police. So on this occasion, I seem to have a bit of a confusion with respect to COP Alex Mensah, who is already on terminal leave pending retirement. So I'm wondering how he could perhaps interfere in investigations when he is already not on the job. And 3, where a senior officer considers that a junior officer under the command of the senior officer should be interdicted, the senior officer shall request the Inspector General by the quickest possible means for authority to interdict the officer. So surely it's within the law for such an action to be taken. But on the other side, we have a parliamentary committee that is investigating the authenticity of the tape, the conspiracy behind removing the IGP because someone thought he would not help them win an election, and, perhaps making recommendations on police reforms and other issues related to this, surely. So I think it is ill-timed, okay, but that notwithstanding, it is not illegal. And secondly, I am concerned about some of the issues that senior police officers are talking about with respect to happenings within the police service. I mean, IGP Dampari is a very good friend. I've had the opportunity to sit with him. He's told me about his vision for the police service. I think he has great intentions and a lot has been achieved, okay? However, we seem to have certain fundamental issues within the police service. I'm really trying very hard to pinpoint what really the issue is, but I can say confidently that there are senior police officers who are not happy with the way he's running the police service. Like I always say, you cannot satisfy everybody all the time, okay? But I am interested in the kind of issues which I cannot repeat because a lot of it hinges on national security, and I think it should be closely looked at. But that notwithstanding, I think we have to send a clear message to other officers who might want to engage in certain activities that would drag the police into disrepute, because a lot of the issues that has come up hinges on national security. It hinges on the public's perception in the police service. Already, a lot of work is being done to improve public confidence in the police service. So now, it looks like the police service is fractured, is disunited, everything is not going well in the police service, and it is very dangerous for our security.
And Adib, the point is, if you go by the CI, that will suggest then that, an inquiry is expected to commence into this matter, and portions of it on our screens now pointing to what may happen if the IGP directs the central board or the regional board in writing to, inquire into the conduct of an officer. And there you find it that, some proceedings will happen, invites may be sent out, and of course the board will hear these police officers who are the same witnesses appearing before Parliament's ad hoc committee. Duplication of the process, or what do you think?
Absolutely. We need to be very careful about some of these actions. Like I indicated, I don't have any issues with these actions. What I am rather curious about is COP Alex Mensah's ability to interfere when he's already off the job, okay? But like I indicated, it is not illegal. But what I want us to be sure about is, in as much as we're concerned about making sure that officers are held to account for their actions, for their inactions, we also need to preserve the sanctity of the parliamentary probe that is ongoing. All right. So this interdiction, in my candid opinion, should have come earlier, or we could have waited until the parliamentary committee is done with this work. These are, by the way, two independent entities doing different things altogether. Okay, so we cannot marry the two. However, in one way or the other, there's a way these two can be, compared and contrasted.
Okay.
I think I'm listening.
Well, I was just about bringing in Professor Aning. Just wrap up on that point for me.
Okay, so I think the right things would have to be done to serve as a deterrent to officers who might, be intending to drag the police service into disrepute. But at the same time, I'm also insisting that there's the need for us to look into issues arising from the police service and what exactly is going on. Because I understand some officers have petitioned the committee, okay? And a lot of issues have come out, like I said, I cannot mention on TV. So this is bringing new perspectives to a rather simple, matter from the onset. And I'm curious to know how it pans out. Okay.
This is one issue I'd like to hear from you on, Professor Aning and Adib. I'll start with you, Prof. The calls for an ADR, the fact that there's tension rising within the service, there's need for us to de-escalate, and the only way to achieve that is to halt all, commissions or probe of inquiring, whatever it is that is happening, just to unravel further circumstances surrounding this leak tape, and instead pursue an approach that will lead to de-escalating tension within the service. What would you opt for?
But are there tensions in the service? Or is because Dr. Dampare has an approach to leadership that does not tolerate corruption, that does not tolerate abuse of power, that does not tolerate undue intimidation and threatening of junior staff, and therefore people think that he has undermined their power and that they will also show him where power lies. I think this is not a case for ADR. When national security is involved, the best way to resolve the insecurities and those who threaten the state's existential position is not to ADR, but to use the law in a manner that sends a clear signal of deterrence. So I don't think we should mix the issues at all. It would also be nice, and I agree with Adib, that he doesn't want to say certain things because they border on national security. I would appeal to the parliamentary committee that sometimes in some of these things, it might be necessary to have other independent voices bringing their analysis to bear prior to taking the final decision. You see, because a whole lot of allegations have been made. Okay, there's this position that, people are disaffected, blah, blah. Any good leader who delivers on his or her mandate would have trampled on people's toes. So the fact that somebody wanted to be the IGP, he didn't get it, and now claim that he's speaking on behalf of people, other senior retired officers are saying they cannot say they are surprised or not surprised. All kinds of funny statements are out there in the public domain. We should be very clear, and I like Adib's point. That is actually a very simple, straightforward case. What is the law around recording somebody? Who leaked the tape? What is the content on that tape? And how must it be dealt with? This is our penchant for rhetoricizing simple things and turning it into more of a larger problem that it ought to be. Must stop. This circus must stop. Okay? Because, let me ask you a question. Do you think somebody who has retired from or about to retire from the Ghana Armed Forces will be able to do something like this?
Well,
I don't think that person will even dream about it.
It rarely happens.
I don't know if it has ever happened. Okay, so let's not undermine the police service. By the time Dr. Dampare came, the perception of the service that even the British High Commissioner sought also to meddle with was that it was a service not fit for purpose. Okay, and when the senior officer about to retire and other senior officers seek to, continue with this historical perception of an ineffective service, of an IGP who is autocratic, who issues contracts to his friends, then there's a problem. And we should not allow a few individuals to sow seeds of discord that can destroy the work that has been done.
And
an
maybe,
institution.
And maybe the reason for which we have this happening is because the IGP isn't speaking himself. We haven't heard from him in a very long while on some of these happenings within the service. There's an opportunity possibly for him to appear before the ad hoc committee in Parliament. Would you want him to make some public pronouncements on what's happening?
When it's appropriate, he will speak. But you see, when the chatter is too much, when the noise is too much, even when you make a sensible statement, the chatter overshadows the sensible statement. So when it's appropriate for him to speak, he will speak. Okay? And it is key that he speaks at a time when his words will carry the weight that is necessary. Okay, but we should not throw the baby out with the bath water. We all need the Ghana Police Service. We need it to be effective. And by the time that Parry was appointed, the service had its deep problems. And I think if were we to do a general pooling, I think the general consensus would be that he has been a good IGP. Those who have fallen foul of his disciplinary measures must not come into the public space and dispute what he has done. That is wrong.
The belief that if government had intervened in all of this, the problem or the crisis would have been, over by now. No comment from the president on this. The interior minister only.
But that is not the president's business.
But
we have the police council. Okay. Look, we tend to want to rope in a president for every single thing. This is a police officer who has flouted the rules, and the way to deal with him and to discipline him is firmly within the remit of the Ghana Police Service and the IGP. Parliament thought what had been said on the tape was serious enough, so they will have a committee of inquiry. So this doesn't go up to the president at all. Let the procedures run, and let's see what happens.
And Prof, just before I let you go, what's your message to Ghanaians, those who are anxious about the implications the implications for national security and what Ghanaians should be thinking about the service, which is mandated to protect them?
Well, I think Ghanaians are smart enough to be able to look in between the lines. That unbridled personal ambition can be dangerous. That ambitions in which somebody thinks he has served somebody's interest and purpose and has not been repaid, and therefore he will destroy that service, must not be tolerated. But even more important, Dr. Dan Parry is being abused because these people perceive him as not playing dirty games for their party to win election 2024. What that means is that Dan Parry, as an individual, must be praised, criticized when it's necessary, but he is a bulwark for effective electoral security, and he's a bulwark towards election 2024, and he must be protected. And there are those who think that being in a position of importance in the public sector means that you should help to steal elections, must find another country to go and live. The ministers of this world should not be listened to by the generality of the Ghanaian people.
Professor Kwesi, thank you for spending some time with us here on The Pulse. And Adib Sani, for you, as we go?
Well, I think it is right that the president hasn't spoken about this because words could be taken off his mouth, and you know how we easily twist matters. Besides, him talking about an ongoing activity could at a point be tantamount to being prejudicial, So it's good that he hasn't spoken about it until perhaps a time that is right enough to do so. The whole issue is bringing up, like I indicated, new perspectives altogether. But I do hope and I have so much confidence in the composition of the committee that has been put together by the Speaker of Parliament, in the caliber of persons on the committee and their experiences, and the fact that some of them have, that legal qualification to do a good job. And I do know that currently they might be sifting through the documents that have come their way as a result of their work, and of course, what has been said so far. And when they come back, I'm hoping they would invite the IGP to tell his side of the story, because it would only be fair to do so. His name has come up severally, and some of the allegations that have been made against him is so damning, it's so scandalous to the police service, and it's only right that he also has something to say. However, what I am proposing is for his appearance to be hybrid, what is supposed to be heard by the general population, and perhaps what can also be held in camera, because he might have certain things to share that is not meant for everybody. And in the end, we would know the truth, and the recommendations that would be made would be geared towards making the police service better. With this investigation, also, I'm hoping it will be swift, it will be fair, and it will be transparent to a large extent. Mr. Suga, are you there?
Yes, thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. And of course, I'm sure that this is just unfolding. I will connect with you some more for updates, and as the committee reconvenes on this matter. You're here with us on the Pulse on the Joy News channel. When we return, we are rewinding the potholes exhibition and bringing to you an update on possibly what government is doing about your roads, which you've been complaining about for quite some time now. Coming up.
Hello, my name is Abeku Agri Santana. If there's anything that makes my life so easy, it is my bank. I love hanging out with my boys at our usual fufu joint. But even without cash, we still dey chop better with EcoBank Mobile. No matter the time of day, my bank helps me stay in touch with my beautiful wife whenever she's away. And when my beautiful wife is in town, she never misses out on her favorite TV shows, because I'm able to pay up all my TV subscriptions from the comfort of my mobile phone. Whenever she has to get groceries too, my bank makes it cashless and convenient. And the part my wife loves the most is when my bank makes it possible and easy for her to shop from any part of the world without moving.
Welcome to the smart world of EcoBank. Download EcoBank Mobile from Google Play Store or the App Store and discover the smart way to bank. EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.
Smile, Look lively, okay? Smile, smile. Is the money too small? A bad stomach ruins your day. Don't let it. Take Gastron, your most effective antacid for the relief of symptoms of peptic ulcer, heartburn, gas pain, flatulence, and indigestion.
Hey guys, what are you waiting for? Let's go.
Mwah. Can you bring down the smiles more?
Gastron, effective relief from stomach discomfort. Manufactured and distributed by NS Chemist Limited. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the
In partnership with National Theatre and Joy FM, Roverman Productions present Naked in Bed, an original Able White play.
Your mother said you are calling off the wedding. Well, my dress is ready and I must wear it. Drinks have been bought and I must drink it. Big men are coming and I must grab one. Where? I caught him in bed with my friend Mercedes. Jesus! No! She said Mercedes, not Jesus.
Venue, National Theatre. Date, September 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 8th, 9th, and 10th. Time, one show on Fridays at 7 p.m. Two shows on Saturdays at 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. 3 shows on Sundays at 1 p.m., 4 p.m., and 8 p.m. Rates 150 Ghana cedis. For tickets, dial *365 *535 hash. WhatsApp 050-554-6010 or visit all usual outlets. Sponsors GCB Bank, Gino Tomato Mix, Ebony Condoms, and M Notify.
Roverman Production. Be the
And thanks for staying with us here on The Pulse. Today we press rewind, taking you back to our Potholes exhibition series. For weeks, we put the spotlight on the gaping potholes on our busy stretches in the city centres. And we seem to be getting some results. One of the producers of the series, Kojo Yankson, will be joining us very shortly in studio with updates shortly. But first, though, let's refresh you and refresh your minds on as we bring you back some reports that we found as part of the Potholes exhibition, starting with the one at Korle Bu and finally Odorkor here in Accra.
Much as it is the role of the media to scrutinize government, it is also important for the press to give them credit for their achievements. Now, one particular achievement for which the press has failed woefully in an unjust, unfair, and unsportsmanlike manner to give government credit for is this: our potholes.
Yes, sir. They be
Just look at them. Deep, wide, jagged-edged moon craters peppered artistically across the asphalt canvas of our national road network, turning 10-minute journeys into 50-minute torture sessions, wreaking almost as much havoc on your spine as your shock absorbers. Yes, Ghana's potholes are one of the uncelebrated triumphs of leadership for which our government must not only be lauded, but applauded.
Now, what most people don't realize is that these monstrous death traps are not actually signs of the incompetence of our government supervisory bodies. They don't point to any lack of skill on the part of our road contractors. No, these are actually clear evidence of the unmitigated success of some of government's top flagship programs.
Which programs, I hear you ask? For the answer to that profound question, we must take a closer look.
Look at this one. Mid-sized, quite deep, shaped like some sort of asphalt amoeba. To you, this is an accident waiting to happen. But to the government, this is perfect for planting corn.
Yes, sir. They be
And it's not just good for planting corn. Potholes are perfect for rice plantation.
Ghana for there are some
tomatoes,
things need to be said and
even cocoa.
As the rainy season approaches, the true value of these potholes becomes apparent. They are perfect for a farmer in planting for food and jobs.
So there you have it. If you have ever wondered why some of these potholes you see on virtually every road in this country of ours never get fixed, well, now you know.
And that is not the only flagship program that government is delivering to rip-roaring success with these cherished and beloved potholes. There is also one village, one dam. Just think of the irrigation potential for the Planting for Food and Jobs project we saw earlier.
And we're still not done. Look at this. Look at the deadly jagged edge of this particular beauty, shaped like the fangs of a village witch. Now, let's measure the depth.
But some things need to be said in 10.
What do you think happens when your car hits this pothole at speed? Obviously, you immediately need spare parts. After a few encounters, a whole new car. If government is able to maintain a few of these widow-making potholes across the country, just think of what it would do for the automotive industry. One district, one factory.
So the next time you feel like throwing your hands up in despair at the state of our roads, the next time you wonder why government keeps throwing money at incompetent contractors to construct roads which after 3 months will break out in potholes like a prepubescent teenager's face breaks out in pimples, just remember that these are the evidence of your government's stellar performance. Why would they cover them up? Reporting from Ahaya Kwanhu, my name is Kojo Yankson.
Yes, sir. Debbie, Nasu Debbie, Pepper da Bang. Debbie.
Creamy beverages always delight the tongue. But splashes of the ones on the streets of Accra do not satisfy drivers. Instead, it makes their tongues wag with complaints and endless frustrations.
7 years ago. The situation has persisted for the past 7 years. We've been pleading with authorities, but to no avail. Because of the poor nature of the road, a lot of people have actually lost their lives while crossing it.
But how do these creamy beverages end up on the streets in the first place? Potholes. They are served and produced by potholes, a menace on almost all the roads in the country. Apart from serving what looks like beverages on the streets, potholes also create other embarrassing scenes on our roads. This is not a beach resort, neither is it a spot for relaxation. It's actually a lane on the Odoko Malam Highway. Unfortunately, the place has now become a resting place for water, as you can see, and anytime it rains, it becomes a severe challenge, not only for drivers, but commuters alike. Terrible, devastating, and a real pain. These are some of the strong adjectives commuters use in describing the glaring potholes sitting in the middle of some parts of the Kaneshie Malam Highway, a principal road network in the capital, Accra. A brief inspection of some parts of the highway from Kaneshie First Light to Odoko Waterworks indeed affirmed that the sentiments of road users are not far-fetched, neither are they exaggerations.
But some things need to be said in 10.
The situation is simply an eyesore, posing a lot of unbearable inconveniences for commuters. Some of the road users who spoke to Joy News could simply not hide their displeasure.
Charlie, this one ain't no good, honestly. Every time in less than like 6 months, it gets back to, worse. It's really bad. This road originally was very, very good. They came with a certain machine and then they just graded the whole road. And the thing was supposed to fix it some way, somehow. And that's what actually started this whole thing.
It's very bad. And this road, they do the road. I don't know the kind of things they are using to do the road. If they do the road more than 1 month or less than 1 month, then there's damage again. And we are pleading to the government to come and do the road for us.
The cars are not able to move freely here due to the gullies, creating a very awkward situation all the time.
I wonder why authorities can't fix the situation. As usual, they are waiting for a child of a high-profile person to die on the road before they get to work. Meanwhile, if the youth block the road in protest now, they will be questioned. The road from here, that is Kaneshie First Light to Odoko, has some issues. Authorities should at least tackle some of the issues, even if not all.
Just in the middle of the road at Odoko Waterworks is a more dire situation. A pool not designed by nature sits openly in the road, created by constant friction between car tires and the road. The effects of the mini swimming pool at Odoko Waterworks have far-reaching consequences. Ordinarily, road users stand on the last lane, which has now been blocked by water, to board vehicles. But the potholes have compelled them to stand at a much riskier location to get on vehicles. This, they further lament, is worrying.
The water is just destroying the road, creating manholes on the road. The water has also blocked the road, so we are pleading with authorities to promptly address the situation.
The menace is increasingly severe, and the one thing the commuters want is nothing but an immediate solution. For the scores of road users who are not happy with the numerous potholes that have littered the stretch from Kaneshie First Light all the way to Odoko, their concern is that government must speedily intervene in order to avert the inconveniences that the situation normally poses for them. For Joy News, my name is Pakwesi Shandoff.
A sudden sound of pothole symphony. When your vehicle joins the chorus, then be rest assured that a hole will be created in your bank account. Driving on pothole-riddled streets means you have to constantly drift off your lane. From afar, you start looking like a drunk, needlessly turning the steering wheel. If you're wondering why the government is not fixing your potholes, well then, you guessed right. It is because there is no by-election in your constituency.
You've been agitating, demonstrating, crying out to government, and even praying to government to fix your potholes. But there is one man who is praying against that prayer.
If I'm a recorder, if I believe work almost 15 years in him. I say almost 6 months will be a mamma and Timiana, and my baby, and I'm a cosa. The bomb prices should put us a sell and I'm a mayor. Yes, it will be selling by be because I'm a person of a baby. I have a severe IBA. The person bay. I didn't see. Obviously, I'll be not of money.
With so much passion fueled by hunger, he sometimes dangerously approaches drivers and sometimes weaves in between vehicles, begging for coins to put food on the table for his family. For 3 years, he has been filling these potholes with soil on the Iran Clinic stretch, not only for the driving comfort of drivers and passengers, but to eke out a living. So would you be happier if God listened to your prayer instead? This crater is starting to take up the whole lane. A few meters away are well carved out potholes, more like asphalt or worry. They cover the entire stretch and you cannot save your car from them. So why not stop there for a game of a worry? Which office do you contact when the street is beyond pothole repair?
MP, why do you say
$88 billion is just a number, but not when we use it for our community benefits plan. It can be used to help deliver the promise of an education. We'll empower young entrepreneurs through the creation of the Howard University and PNC National Center for Entrepreneurship. And uplift small businesses with access to the capital they need in order to grow. It's not just about dollars, it's about change. PNC.
Nissan has a car for every driver who wants more. More action. More fun. More guts. More head turns. More adventure. More electric. At Nissan, more is all we do.
Basame man Zubagasa de Bion, DC Zubagasa Yon, na present. Na some of whom are true say, Ghana for one drink. Ghana for some one drink. And must do Obiva Biango and answer one say or that out. Is a governor who got to move. What a shock, what a shock. Must I dream one? I dream Guabasa, Yajiwa can't work and pay. Player so far, power, my way.
Yes, Ghana's roads can leave you enraged. So like COVID-19, you have to learn to live with it. When it rains, the craters become river-wide, suitable for fishing. So I went for a hook and line. And oh, what a great catch it was, right in the middle of the road. So, with all these prospects, why would governments cover them up? Jojo Kobna, Joy News.
And Kuji Yankson is joining us now to have a conversation on this. Obviously, very refreshing, details there about how the nature of our roads across the cities are. But it's reinforcing the conversation about what the status is now. If we go back, to the same spots where you were about a month or two ago, we find the same, trends or, the same situation around the areas.
Well, Blessed, I can report that if you go back to the Korle Bu Junction, you will not find the same potholes that I reported on.
Oh.
You will find worse potholes than the ones I reported on. The situation has deteriorated. Now there is a longer stretch that is peppered with potholes. So if in the past you had to endure maybe 100 meters of bumping and grinding, if your axle and your shock absorbers just had to tolerate about 100 meters worth of moon surface travel. This time around it's about 150 meters.
So it's wider.
Now even more of a gauntlet. Okay, so now you have to travel even longer before you get to the smooth road. Okay, and that is deterioration. Deterioration by definition is a bad situation made worse. Okay, so we reported on a bad situation. The government responded, said, we're in the process of, dealing with these potholes across the cityscapes. We even saw them come and empty the existing potholes with the plan to come and fill them, in a matter of days. But now we have worse. We have deterioration. The situation was not dealt with, and it's got worse. It's not only at Korle Bu, but across the country, in spite of the big response we got from the public, who were all sending in their videos of bad roads. Somehow it has not resulted in the outcomes we had wanted. Things are worse.
What sense do you get from the authorities? That they are not interested, or it's a matter of resources?
Well, Blessed, we get no sense from the authorities, apart from the initial response, because there was a lot of pressure when we started this campaign. Apart from that initial response, there's been no further communication from Department of Urban Roads, or even for the intercity roads like the motorway roads and highways. We're getting nothing. We're getting nothing. All we're getting is the reiteration of old promises. Okay, but nothing in terms of timelines or actual actionable, steps that are to be taken.
these potholes are just there. They're getting worse. And as the rainy season continues even longer than we expected, you can imagine the problem gets even more difficult.
And could you hear the thing? My colleague Frederick Kwarteng also visited the Odorkor area and reports that government has begun at least some sort of work within the area. So let's listen to the reaction of people there, and then we can get more updates on this.
It was hell initially. I mean, unnecessary traffic congestion initially, but now I think there have been some improvements. But the fact remains that this is nothing to write home about, considering what we pay for roadworthy and those things. The roads keep destroying our cars. But there's been some improvement. We can only take it like that.
I'm thank my president said now we done well for me, because the first time here is a rough, very, very rough, blocking the traffic and delay the cars too now. Now the station come here first time to talk to them, then we leave. Then we are insulting them, say we know they can't do anything. Now I see say you can't do everything for here. Here make genuine now. Now the way it is now is good. For gun put for asphalt for in top, then we see say finish everything now.
So it means the work is not complete to you?
No, the work is going on. It's true for me.
This road has been here since not today. So we are thank God that they are starting doing construction on way. So what we are doing is we need to be hoping that it should go on there so that they will not just leave it just like that and go. So if it is good that they are constructing it.
So what else do you want them to do?
Well, nothing much. Like what we want is they should do the construction where to then do the correct solid one so that we can use it on natural streets.
So before, it's because of the potholes on this very aspect of it. It normally causes a traffic jam. At times, the green lights will be on, but because of the pothole, it will take a very long period before you can cross to their side.
The road needs a new surface, because here is the main road. I can say it's ECOWAS road. And when the pothole comes like that, it's not good.
Okay, the situation there within Odorkor, but we understand that it's a nationwide problem. Nana Yaboachi will be joining us shortly from Kumasi to also paint that picture to us. But could you, this indeed points to the fact that it's getting worse by the day. We need an immediate intervention from government.
I think our idea is a good one. The pothole exhibition is a brilliant way of putting the spotlight on something that has been ignored. Yeah. Okay, it's a problem we pretend not to have, but it affects us all. Maybe those who are driving around in government, funded four-wheel drives might not feel the potholes as much as we do. Yeah. But the fact is that these roads are, we all use them to go to and from work. It's affecting productivity when it creates these, traffic jams. So the truth is that there is a reason and incentive for everybody to put pressure on authorities to deal with these. And it's a pressure that there is.
Indeed, and we'll talk once more about how we're doing that here at Joy News using the Potholes exhibition. Let's also hear from Nana Yaboachi, who's joining us from Kumasi as well. Nana, what can you say about the situation in Kumasi as we speak?
Well, Blessed, putting the spotlight on these potholes in the Ashanti region has really been helpful. When we engage some of these residents or drivers who ply these roads, they tell us how beneficial it has been, especially those using the Krofrom stretch and the Bokrom stretch, looking at how bad it was. By putting a spotlight on these potholes, we can see that there's been work going on. They've been patching the roads, and it keeps on improving as time goes on. So for Kumasi, they've begun to patch some of these potholes across the region. But some of them still have the experience of these potholes, and then it's quite a problem over here. But I can tell you as a matter of fact that after our spotlight on these potholes across the Ashanti region, from Bokrom to Krofrom to TUC to Dakojum to Oforikrom to Susanso, these 6 communities that we place the spotlight on, I can tell you as a matter of fact that they have their potholes being patched. Today, quite recently, and then today I must say, when we went around to check on these potholes that we place the spotlight on, we realized that especially from TUC to Bokrom, it's being patched. And then work is still going on at Oforikrom and Susanso. So for Ashanti region, I can confirm as a matter of fact that putting the spotlight on these potholes has really been helpful. And the drivers who ply this road and these stretches have been really grateful to us, especially for talking about quite a sensitive matter like this.
Are there some more challenges that you're bringing up in the coming days?
Well, there are quite some challenges, I can tell you, that some of these potholes are really deadly. When you use the airport runabout, the Kumasi airport runabout, you realize that the pothole over there's just one particular pothole over there, and it's really deadly. So any heavy truck using that stretch would have to abandon it and then find another way. But if you really want to use that particular stretch, we might not hear any good news. So there are deadly issues with regards to these potholes in the Ashanti region. But I must say that putting the spotlight on the ones that we worked on, they are being worked on by the urban roads. But then there are still these deadly potholes in the Ashanti region. Just like I mentioned, the one at the airport runabout, the ones at TUC, although they are patching them, but there are critical ones over there that we must pay attention to. Because we might not hear good news in the coming days if we do not really pay attention to these potholes, this pothole situation in the Ashanti region.
All right, Nanaya Mbachi Yadom, thank you for updating us. Could you that definitely suggest that the challenge is far from over? How can people be a part of, first of all, identifying the problem so we draw the attention of the authorities?
It's very simple, and I think the cue is from what Nana Boakye Yadom said, that it actually works if you keep the pressure going. So here's the plan. Everybody needs to send in their pictures and videos of the potholes in their area. Use the hashtag pothole exhibition, GH potholes if you prefer, and send them through to us, on the X app. And we will absolutely shed the spotlight on it and share your videos and pictures on our bulletins. We will put pressure on those who are responsible for fixing them. We will ask them why these potholes have prevailed. And we will certainly be bringing you more and more features. For example, we are investigating currently a pothole that is said to be 30 years old.
Oh!
Imagine that.
Really? Here in Ghana?
Here in Accra. So these are some of the features we'll be bringing to continue to put pressure on the authorities.
30 years.
30 years. Same pothole, same place.
Were we sleeping on the job or what was going on over the years? That's strange. 30 years. Okay. I don't even know what to say right now.
Yeah, it's not a great situation.
Okay, so using social media and beyond that, are there some plans, for this exhibition to be, widened to have more and more people join the good cause?
Absolutely, I think at this point it's in the hand of our audience. We have shown them that this is an avenue, and we want them to take the advantage of it as much as possible. Once they voice, the situation in their local areas, we will ensure that the authorities are brought. To pay attention to them so that we can get results. Kumasi is seeing results, and we will certainly be able to replicate that across the country for all of these hotspots where the roads are completely immotorable and a complete menace to the health of pedestrians and drivers, as well as the safety of vehicles.
Okay, but then we're also looking at the challenge on the Tema motorway. The Roads and Highways Minister speaking about the situation. He says he has a long-term vision for, this very stretch. And this is also feeding into the potholes exhibition because there's a challenge there too.
Yes. In fact, it is potholes that have affected the surface of the Accra-Tema motorway. And it's not surprising. The motorway is way past its expiry date, if you will. It was supposed to last for 50 years. We're pushing 60 years now. So 10 years beyond expiry, it can't continue to function the way it was meant to function when it was first constructed, bearing in mind we haven't maintained it so well. So you can see, especially on the Tema to Accra stretch, several very deadly potholes with some sharp edges that are the cause of almost every accident that we have seen in recent times on the motorway. So hearing that it is a long-term vision, it's a bit problematic. I think we understand the situation. There aren't a lot of resources, going about. But this is something that was supposed to have been fixed several years ago. This 10-lane motorway was supposed to have been constructed several years ago. We were even told at some point that the money was available. So for us to now be describing it as a future plan is worrying, because every day we're going to be seeing incidents on this motorway until it gets
And what complicates the matter is you see bitumen being used to patch a concrete stretch.
And engineers are doing this. That's the shocking thing. I'm not a road engineer. I'm not a road engineer.
But at least
I know that you don't patch, concrete with bitumen. I don't know how we got to this point, but it's not the solution. And we absolutely need to find something more permanent.
Certainly not. Host of the Super Morning Show, Kojo Jansen. Thank you for joining us. And of course, we're continuing. Hashtag potholes exhibition. That's all you need to do. What's the hashtag?
GH potholes.
GH potholes. And then, of course, we'll be sharing your videos on our platforms and also raising the concerns with the authorities. Kojo, thank you. We'll see you again. There are calls now for the former Trade and Industry Minister Alan Kojo Kyerematen to consider running as an independent presidential candidate in the 2024 general elections, barely days after publicly announcing that he is withdrawing from the NPP's presidential primaries. The man who had hopes of leading the NPP into the next general election cited violence against his agents and supporters, as well as unfair competition, as part of the reasons for which he is, leaving and terminating this long-held ambition of contesting on the ticket of the New Patriotic Party. And we've seen some of the pictures circulating online. What you see on the screens now, it reads, "The next president resigns to become the president," and it comes with the name of Alan Kojo Kyerematen, hashtag Alan for 2024, hashtag President Alan. We don't know who's behind this very flyer, but of course, it does suggest that some are indeed calling for Alan to run as an independent candidate. So what are the prospects of this individual going into the 2024 elections, if indeed he considers running as an independent candidate? Joining us via Zoom now is Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante at the University of Ghana. Doc, thank you for spending some time with us. You've seen this flyer as well, I believe. It's making rounds on social media. What does it suggest to you? Okay, unfortunately, we've lost Dr. Asah-Asante. We're taking a break here on the polls. Please stay with us. We'll return shortly.
The voters registration exercise 2023 is here with us now.
The Electoral Commission is making preparations for voters registration exercise from 12th September to 2nd October 2023 to enable citizens who have turned 18 years or persons who have not previously registered to visit the EC office in their district and register as a voter ahead of the upcoming district level elections 2023. The registration exercise is in line with the Commission's mandate to compile the register of voters and revise it at such periods as may be determined by law. Every eligible Ghanaian should visit the EC office in their district and present their Ghana card or passport for inclusion in the voters register. Applicants who do not have a Ghana card or passport are required to bring two persons who are already registered voters to guarantee their registration. Do not register again if you have lost your voter ID card. Replacement of voter ID cards will start from 3rd October 2023 after the registration exercise. Transfer of votes will also be done from 3rd October to 9th October 2023. It is a criminal offense for a guarantor to guarantee for more than 10 people, non-Ghanaians and persons who are not 18 years of age. Guarantors who violate this provision will be prosecuted. The voters' registration exercise is part of efforts to ensure credible, transparent, and peaceful elections in Ghana. Register to vote. Your vote is your power.
The voters' registration exercise 2023 is here with us now.
Daddy, this tank is big.
Yes, that's true.
It can store a lot of water.
That's so true.
Wow, it has a working tortoise on it.
That's so true.
I can see SINTEX. Syntax.
That is so true, my daughter.
When it falls down, it will spoil.
That's not true.
But why?
Hey! Syntex was the first to introduce double-layer tanks in Ghana. Syntex again was the first to introduce white inner layers in Ghana. Syntex gives you the biggest warranty, 7 years. No matter your water needs, Syntex is the answer. Syntex tank. Are you strong? Are you tough?
For the ultimate in entertainment, switch on now.
Do you feel what I'm feeling?
Yes! Because DSTV is going with DSTV.
So I came home earlier than I normally would that fateful Monday after work. And to my surprise, I saw my husband and my mother having sex in our living room.
I had always suspected my wife. I felt she had something doing with my little brother. And I walked into a room one day, and there they were, making out. And this is my blood brother.
My husband, who is a banker, will not have sex with me because I denied him my earnings. Is he gay? I've been wondering.
What is your story? What secret is eating you up? Why are you having continual sleepless nights? Do you need help? Share your story on our powerful new series where real people share their deepest secrets on Prime Morning beginning this September. Drop your stories on our WhatsApp number 055 157 5757. Remember, a problem shared is a problem half solved, and every problem has a solution.
Well, let's go back to Zoom and connect with Dr. Asah-Asante. We'll ask you there briefly, Doctor, just when you were about to making the point about, the mounting pressure on Alan Kojo Kyerematen to go independent. What are the prospects for him if he decides to contest as an independent candidate? Doc, I hope you can hear me.
Thank you, Blessed. I can hear you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, sir.
Yes. If Alan decides to go as an independent candidate, these are the prospects. Well, he will succeed in rocking the boat for the MPP because he's not going to win as an independent candidate. Because in this country, the party systems are so ingrained within the political system that it is difficult, if not impossible, for any candidate to become an independent candidate and win election. It cannot happen. Because if you look at the party systems, people have been associated with these two traditions since time immemorial. So for them to, throw it all away and then join a candidate against the status quo, obviously they will not do that. But if you are popular and you go as an independent candidate, you are likely to pull some votes away, and that will undermine the fortunes of the party that you are coming from. So that is one scenario. There are calls within the political system for Alan to also join other small parties to form the third force, because over the years, the conversation has been that let us get a third force so that the two dominant parties throw them away. I can say without fear of contradiction that a third force is not likely to win power anytime soon. Because we have done research which shows from 1992 up to 2020, if you put all the small parties, their performance together, on the average, they have not beyond 4%. For you to win, to become a president, you need to go past 50%. And if all the parties since 1992, their performance put together will not even give them even beyond 4%. How an individual can cross that threshold, it is virtually an impossible adventure.
I was speaking to the Global Info.
You will understand that.
Yes, Doc, I was just speaking to the Global Info Analytics Center the other day. The indication from them is that anybody who goes independent at this moment, of the stature of Alan Kojo Chiroma-Ting or its likes, of course, will definitely, such a person will definitely make inroads in the next election, given the fact that they could push this election into a runoff. That then makes them the kingmakers.
Yes, that is one aspect. Yes, you could push the election for a second round, fine. But if you are going with the sole aim of winning, you won't win. That is a fact. But yes, you can cause the defeat of the party that you are coming from. We saw a typical example in the year 2000 when the Reform Party, protest party against the NDC. If you look at the election results, places that NDC would have carried the day, had it not been the, Reform Party, they would have carried the day, but blocked them in the course of voting and all that. And that caused NDC heavily. If Alan decides to go on this route, then my understanding really want to pay them what they've done to him. But if that, I don't believe that certainly Alan will finally settle on this decision and decide to go. If he will, then it's going to cost the NPP a lot. But I will not take the statement lightly from Mr. Kojo Mpieni, because Mr. Kojo Mpieni is a big political actor within the political space, particularly within the NPP. And I know that he has a superior understanding of the issues that are at play. So his statement cannot be taken lightly. So we are in interesting times. We look forward to see what will happen from today and the next day. But I have no doubt in my mind that if Alan decides to go as an independent candidate, or even join certain forces to have a political party in place to contest the election, then the whole idea is to rock the boat and then prevent the NPP from winning power 2024.
And how about the situation where we have probably an alliance with all the lesser followed political parties together with all those who've broken away, the likes of Dr. Pakwesi Indum and the others coming to form a third force? Is that far-fetched?
A third force doesn't have strong roots. Even before independence, we have been organized along two parties. It is, if you look at the British colonies, all the British colonies, almost all of them are a two-party system. And if you look at all over the world, two-party systems, where two-party systems exist, a third force is a difficulty. All right. You are likely to have a third force, in quotes, winning power. But that is a completely different situation when you have a multi-party system where in Polkas and we say that a party is a multi-party, a system is a multi-party system. All the political parties that is within the country have all the resources, have equal resources, and each of them the power to win power and then form the next government. Is that a situation in Ghana? No. There are dominant parties here and there are what? Minor parties. Of course, the NDC MPP are the only dominant party. The rest are dwarf parties. They cannot stand face to face with the MPP or NDC. That is the challenge for a third force. And that is what it makes it completely impossible for a third force to emerge. It can emerge, but if it wants to win election, no. But it can cause, an upset within the political space for a second round to come. And that there's a political advantage. When it gets there, they are able to what? Parties are gravitate towards them to want them to join forces with them so that they can win power. Then they have a bargaining chip, and then they can, argue for positions in the next government.
For now, Alan Kojo Kyerematen remains in the New Patriotic Party, but with all of these things happening, how is that likely to impact the party's chances going into the next elections?
If Alan decides to go as independent candidates or even join other parties to contest, it's going to be a big blow to the MPP because, take it or leave it, Alan is a force to reckon with within the NPP. He has a lot of following, and these people, a number of them will follow him. There are others who, because of how he has been treated, will also want to be associated with him, and that can cause a lot of problem for the NPP. So I believe that the time is now for the NPP to act and act very fast because the multiplying effect is there for us to see. If they don't act very fast now, they are likely to have others who will also join him, decide to withdraw and join him, and then they compound the problems. Remember that this battle, 2024 battle, is a Herculean one, and that they need to have their house in order to fight it. Any division, any problems within the party can really undermine their chances of breaking the edge.
Okay, Dr. Kwame Asah-Santwi, thank you for talking to us here on The Pulse. And now we move elsewhere to Europe because the German economy is not in a good state. Exports actually fell last month and the situation remains volatile. And what we know is that a new nationwide poll has shown Germans are really concerned about the situations and what's happening to their economy. Just how bad is the situation? Is Germany, as many media outlets are discussing, the sick man of Europe as the case is? Let's find out more.
It depends essentially who you ask. Some economists here in the country have said that the economic situation is darkening or worsening and have explained that compared to other advanced economies, Germany's economy is performing comparatively poorly. However, others have stressed that some of the measures that have been implemented by the government have either helped to improve the economy or at least to make sure that the economy does not perform even poorer. And they have indeed stressed that one element that can be highlighted there is the fact that inflation has reduced in the past months. Inflation here in the country is around 6%, which may be low compared to other parts around the world, but which is high for German standards. One issue that is particularly problematic here is the industry. The industry is one of the cornerstones of German economic output, and as such, exports here in Germany have fallen in recent months and is one of the areas which is of particular concern for economists, for experts, and also for the German government.
So how's the government reacting to this?
The government is obviously concerned about the economic situation, and in fact the coalition members met last week for a 2-day retreat, in part to discuss how they could deal with this very difficult economic situation. It is important to stress that Germany's economic output, Germany's economic power is not only important for Germany and for Germany's international standing, it's also important for the European Union as a whole, for European countries that are very closely linked to Germany in political and economic terms. Hence, the need for the German government to really present concrete measures to deal with these economic difficulties, in particular when it comes, for example, to energy prices or to how citizens should be helped when it comes to daily goods, to daily needs, because many citizens have indeed expressed their concerns about how this economic situation, this overall economic situation, is affecting specific households as well.
And what about concerns from Germans?
Absolutely. In fact, if you look at several polls that have been revealed, presented in the last few days and weeks, and one in particular, a nationwide poll that was presented last week, a majority of Germans stressed that they're concerned about the economic situation, and they also believe that the economic situation in the future could actually worsen. And when Germans were asked what the biggest challenge is for the country now, they didn't mention, for example, the war in Ukraine or climate change. That was further down the list. The biggest issue for Germans was undoubtedly the current economic situation, and this is also playing a role, by the way, in what Germans think about the current government, and in particular the German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, not having very good numbers in polls, in their favorability numbers. So this is also something that the German government is obviously trying to include, how exactly Germans are thinking about the economic situation in the country.
And what will be implications for persons who have migrated to Germany?
It is interesting because this nationwide poll that I mentioned also revealed that among the biggest challenges for Germany, according to Germans, is migration, in fact, in second position after the economic output, after the economic situation. And in a way, these two topics are related, because the German government has indeed placed and has indeed presented proposals to attract skilled workers that can fill specific gaps here in Germany that are needed in several professions. This is in fact one of the key proposals by the German government, led by Chancellor Olaf Scholz, how to attract skilled workers that could fill exactly those gaps. Related to this is also how to make dual nationality, or how to make immigration also easier and less bureaucratic. So the German government is also hoping that by attracting skilled
literacy within the Akwemu community. Speaking at the Grand Dinner held during this year's Akwesida Kese celebration in the Eastern region, the Akwemu Hini introduced the Odinu Kwafo Akoto Education Fund, designed to provide educational scholarships to talented, intelligent but underprivileged students in the Akwemu state. The scholarship fund, he says, will go a long way to help develop the Akwemu state. Journey's Elvis Washington was at the ceremony and now reports.
Passing the address, the Akwemu Hene emphasized the importance of developing the human resource potential of the Akwemu people. He drew a parallel to the valiant efforts of his predecessors, who had built a formidable empire for the Akwemu community. Now, he contends, it is time for a new battle to be waged, a battle against illiteracy, aimed at nurturing the intellectual capital of his people.
The only war I want to declare on behalf of my people is the war against illiteracy. The weapon against poverty must be fought with the mind and heart. In the words of the great man Nelson Mandela, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. We observe with grave concern the dilution, erosion, and even rejection of our values, customs, and traditions by some of our young people who are often attracted by the influence of other cultures. With education, we can revise this trend and retain our young people. Together, we can turn dreams into reality, potentials into achievement, and obstacles into opportunities. So I invite you to help me fight this menace of lack of relevant development, oriented education from all angles. I really appreciate all of you in your efforts to return the Akwa State to its proper place in history. Let us be the catalyst of change, the enablers of dreams, and the champions of education.
Highlighting the tourism potential of the Akwa State, the Akwa Hene extended an invitation to potential investors to explore the numerous tourism opportunities within the Akwa State.
Finally, ladies and gentlemen, I also want to invite you to consider investing in the tourism potential of Akwa. For example, it is my vision to see the complete development of the Akwa Gorge through the planned ecotourism project. We want to position Akwa as a formidable player in the tourism industry.
The event drew a distinguished gathering of influential personalities, including business leaders, politicians, tribal chiefs, and members of the international community. They collectively commended the Akwa Hene's commitment to eradicating illiteracy, describing it as a praiseworthy endeavor.
Yeah, if you listen to Odineho, he said he has waged a war, and this war is against illiteracy. And that is profound, a very profound statement, because everybody who knows the Akwamus will say that the Akwamus are people who love war. But today, he's telling his people that they are not going to fight with guns, and that they are going to fight illiteracy.
I think it's a very laudable objective that Odineho Nana Akufo Addo the third has selected as the, if you like, the pivot of his kingship. If you look at where Akwa is today, I think the single thing that we need to do is to look at skills development, to look at how we invest in our youth, to look at how we establish a basis that will allow them to have an education that will allow them to compete, in Ghana and, of course, globally.
The launch of the Odineho Kwafu Akoto Educational Fund marks a significant turning point in the Akwa State's journey towards a brighter future. With the paramount chief's resolute determination, the community now stands united in its battle against illiteracy, determined to build a stronger and more prosperous Akwa. For Joy News, my name is Elvis Washington, reporting from Akwa Fie, Eastern Region.
The USAID is urging the Ghanaian population and other governments to stick to the democratic principles regardless of challenges of the time. According to the USAID Mission Director Kimberly Rosen, governments must do more to defend the principles of democracy despite the challenges. There's more in this report.
Is a project, the USAID Political Accountability Activity implemented by the United States Agency for International Development to address issues of electoral reforms, deepen political decentralization, and promote inclusive governance. Speaking at the launch of the USAID Political Accountability Activity, Mission Director Kimberly Rosen underscored the commitment of the organization to supporting democratic principles in the country.
In an already increasingly complex world, it becomes more challenging to keep these democratic principles in focus. So in light of this, USAID is proud to partner with Ghana to support the democratic principles we share. As you will hear from the speakers that will follow, our political accountability activity will partner with important and respected institutions in the country. And together, they will reinforce Ghana's democratic electoral processes in today's increasingly challenging environment. Importantly, this This activity will seek to ensure that all Ghanaians are actively engaged, including women, youth, and other marginalized groups that might be underrepresented. We note the significant emerging challenges here in Ghana, including both the economic pressures that affect the people's daily lives, as well as the increasing threats to peace and security in the country. So we view the integrity of Ghana's electoral processes as critical to securing its ongoing peace and security. Let me close by recognizing and thanking the representatives from that we'll be working with, including the Electoral Commission, the National Commission for Civic Education, the National Peace Council, the Center for Democracy and Development, the Institute for Democratic Governance, the Gender Center for Empowering Development, and the political parties for your commitment to democratic elections.
Rosen emphasized the importance of political stability to economic growth.
The U.S. government recognizes the importance of and continues to support accountable governance, since we all know how it affects people's daily lives. This includes improving quality service delivery in health, education, agriculture, and fisheries. USAID will help the government to strengthen its systems to ensure that the national policies that are adopted enhance the delivery of quality basic services for all Ghanaians. We also recognize that many of the recent destabilizing events in the broader region serve really as a reminder that credible electoral processes are essential to maintaining the political stability needed for economic growth and long-term prosperity. Ghana, of course, has served as a model of such processes to its neighbors. However, I'm sure that we can all agree that we must constantly renew our commitment to democratic principles to ensure that our policies and practices reflect these principles.
Stephen Mensah's report read to you.